And we'll do it in 3, 2, 1. Welcome to the Drew Rice Show on 1420 WEMB Sports Radio. I'm Marky, Billson. And, well, Coach, you come off the Blue Devils' most successful season in, one could say, 33 years. A playoff victory for the first time since then. And now expectations are high at Unicoi County. Johnson City Press has picked you to win 1-3A. Could you talk a little bit about the pressure facing the 2019 Unicoi County Blue Devils?
Yeah, that's I guess that's what comes with having some success, and that's part of it. And on one hand, it's pressure. On the other hand, I feel like it's respect that we've earned. So, we choose to look at it that way. But our kids they've worked super hard, and we've tried to tell them, even though a whole lot of these guys, were very, very heavily, made heavy contributions last year. Even though a lot of them are back, that those games we won last year mean nothing now. You know what I mean? Everybody in the States, 0-0, and everybody's got the same goals, and everybody wants to have a great year. And now it's time to just go do it. So we've tried to really keep our guys focused, and we've had a great summer and had a great off season, and it's an exciting time.
Well, you have to be happy that Cody Lewis, the 2,000-yard rusher from last season, is back, as well as Brock Thompson, your quarterback. And so I can see where the optimism surrounds Unicoi County, but I want to ask, what changes over I guess it's now 3 years that you've been the head coach at Unicoi County? What changes have you seen when you took over a team that had just gotten smashed by Happy Valley to now when they're projected maybe to be the best team in 1-3A?
Well, I think it's just just the product of these kids' work and, what we've asked of them. And we've had unbelievable, support from the community, just different people, financially and, there's different projects and things that we've wanted to get accomplished, and people have stepped up and, helped us and helped these young men. And, I don't know. I mean, we've made a huge, I always talk about it, but we've made a huge emphasis on the weight room and, year round. And we really ask a lot of these guys in there. So I feel like we've, as a program, have gotten much, much stronger, on an individual basis. And these guys now, these seniors, they were our first kind of off season, like the off season of their freshman year after their freshman season was sort of our first off season. And, when we took over the strength conditioning program and all that. So they're kind of our first group to really have, 3 off seasons, I guess. But, it's exciting. And, I think our depth is really going to be a strength for us. I think we've got 31 or 32 upperclassmen right now, so that's for a school our size and, just where we, historically have sat roster-wise, that's really, really good for us. And, we're excited about that. And, we've got a bunch of kids. And, like I said, it's just hopefully that depth will be a blessing for us down the stretch.
We've talked about this before, but it's worth repeating, especially since you touch on it. The athletes now come out for football at Unicoi County. Give you an example. Possibly you're starting wide receiver Peyton Whitson. Here's a guy who's been offered a baseball scholarship at Roan State, yet he comes out and is now expected to be your go-to receiver on the football team. A lot of times in the past, shades of Shadden Peavy House a few years ago, who went to Coastal Carolina as a baseball pitcher, but was a starting receiver and hurt his shoulder once playing football. A lot of people will say, hey, that's not your future. Don't come out to football. How do you get those athletes out to football?
Well, just like at the college level, they go recruit anybody in the country they want. So that's not necessarily the case here, but I've always said we've got to recruit our hallways, and every kid, we try to identify every kid that could help us. And, we have our camps in the summer, our youth camps, and get those young kids up here and just try to really have a pulse on the best athletes in each group all the way down to our little flag league starts in 3rd grade. So we just really try to familiarize ourselves with the kids here and the athletes here. And whatever's walking in that hallway is all you got. So I've always said, we've got to identify and get every kid that could possibly help us. And I think last year and this year, looking at our roster, I think we've there's a few, of course there's always going to be 1 or 2 you wish you could get, but for the most part, I feel like we've got most of the kids playing that need to be playing.
You mentioned the weight room. I can remember this building we're standing in front of 20 years ago, nothing like it is now. when you were playing here, previous decade, making one-handed catches against Sullivan South, what was the weight room like? What's the difference now to when you were playing just, 12 years ago?
Well, I think I think it's not just that's not probably just here. I think that's probably everywhere. There's just been such a focus on strength and conditioning, and not only the benefits of the added strength and added speed, but just staying healthy. That's one thing that we kind of make a huge emphasis on in there, and we continue to lift 3 days a week even in the season. And I don't know how many schools do that, especially schools our size, but we just make it a priority, and it seems like it's working. We'll see, but I know we've got some strong kids and some kids that can really run, and we've just made that a huge emphasis for us, and these kids like it, and and they can tell a difference in their bodies and the way they look and the way they feel and the way they run, and we've tried to provide them with a Class A facility, a grade A facility, I guess I should say. But, I don't know. We just wanted to create a place that they're proud of. And, if we're going to ask of them the time and commitment that we do, then, I think the trade-off's got to be they got to have a great place to come work at. And I think we've got that.
When we come back, I'm going to ask Drew Rice about some of the players on the 2019 Unicoi County Blue Devils, as well as a preview of tonight's opponent, South Greene. More with Drew Rice after this on 1420 WEMB Sports Radio and jetbroadcasting.live. Let's do 3, 2, 1. Back to the Drew Rice Show. I'm Marky Billson, and head coach Drew Rice, the story of the 2019 season, I think, is going to be how far can Cody Lewis, coming off a 2,000-yard season with more than 10 yards a carry the Unicoi County Blue Devils this season. Now, I want to ask you something. I was told by the coaches at Alcoa before the playoff game last year, Lewis can play for any team in the state. Yet I open up the Johnson City Press on Thursday, and they highlight 2 running backs on their tab. One is Charlie Cole going to Army from Daniel Boone. The other is Science Hill's Chris Thomas, who Lewis actually has a superior 40 time to. Is Cody Lewis actually underrated?
Well, I don't know. he was an All-State kid last year, and he's preseason All-State this year, and I definitely wouldn't say he's underrated. He's got his recruitment's wide open, and I think he's going to have plenty of chances to play. And those kids you mentioned, they're tremendous backs, and they go to bigger schools. So that's just part of it. We don't get caught up in that. But Cody's a humble kid, and he's a great kid, and he's a worker, and he's got his body to a place where I think he's ready for the next level. And we're just going to, like you said, try to have a great senior year. And we know people are going to try to take him away, and that's going to be people's focus. And with that, we've tried to really focus on our pass game this summer. And I think Brock's really going to have a tremendous year. He's obviously, pretty decorated already going into his junior year. But I really think people are going to see a different year older, upperclassman now, Brock Thompson. And that's really going to, I hope, cause people some problems because, last year people tried to take Brett away on the outside, and I think that opened up our run game, and that allowed Cody to have the year he did, or had something to do with it anyway. And I think this year it may actually be the other way around. I think people are going to, prep to stop Cody, and I think we're going to have some opportunities in our passing game. So, we've got 4 or 5 guys on the perimeter at receiver that I think are really, really talented. We don't have that huge play guy like Brett out there anymore, but I think our receiving core, as far as the 3 or 4 guys out there at a given time, is probably better as far as, 1 receiver, 2 receiver, 3 receiver, 4 receiver, because, we've really got some depth there. You mentioned Peyton. Peyton played a lot for us last year, made some big plays for us last year, and Tracy Vanover has had a great summer. Him and Brock got a really good connection, and Evan Huff, number 6, is a transfer for us, and he's going to be, I think he's really going to cause people problems, and Tanner Van Hoy and Jordan Bridges. We've got 7 or 8 guys that I feel good about putting out there with the ones at receiver, so we're super deep there, and I think people are going to try to stop our run game, and if that's the case, we'll just have to air it out. So I feel confident in both.
Don't forget L.J. Mitchell at tight end as well. Now, where did Evan Huff transfer in from? I know he's going to be returning some kicks along with Lewis. Where's he coming from?
Science-Hill. His dad lived over here, and he came over during the winter actually, and he plays basketball too. So he's been a good addition for us, and we're excited about him. And like I said, he's smaller, but he's very, very explosive, and he's real quick twitch and can start and stop on a dime. So we're excited about him for sure.
You mentioned Brock Thompson. He's got a 14-7 record as a starter, but I have sensed some lollipop in his arm. Has his arm strength improved? Is there more frozen rope, or is this still something like, I don't know if we really want him to throw that deep?
Yeah. No, he's a different kid. He really is, or he's not a kid anymore. He's a young man. But he's, like I said, I really think people are going to watch him play, and he's going to look like a different player. And I'm going to take the leash off of him as far as running a little bit. He's been very capable the last 2 years of running. I've tried to protect him, and we're still going to try to protect him, of course. But I've told him he's a big boy now. He's ready to rock and roll. So I really think he's going to be the biggest difference for us. And he's a great leader and just a great athlete, and got a great football mind and a great football IQ. And I think this time next year we're going to be talking about where he's going to have the possibility to play at in a couple of years. So we're definitely excited about it.
Let's talk about the opponent, the South Greene Rebels. Like you, they won a state playoff game, admittedly in 2A, but Scotty Varan's team, historically, before Varan was there, not in spite of him, but it was a team that used to beat up on Unicoi County a lot. Last year, they took a 2-touchdown lead early on, but Unicoi County was able to win 42-32. When you look at the film of South Greene, when you hear about them, what should we be expecting from the Rebels tonight?
Well, they're huge up front. They got a couple of transfers on the line from Greeneville, and guys that played and started last year for Greeneville and won a state championship. And we beat South Greene the first game of the year last year, and then they went to the quarterfinals in 2A. So they end up having a great year, and Coach Varan does a great job. And their quarterback's back. He's sort of like Brock. He's been starting since he was a freshman. So he's got a whole lot of experience, and he's a great athlete, and he runs well. And like I said, they're just huge up front. So I really think, and obviously playing down there is a tough place to play. I really think they may be one of, if not the best team on our schedule. I mean, I really do. They're that's not to take away anything from anybody else, but I think I know their line's the biggest line we'll see all year. And a veteran quarterback like that, and again, it's a tough place to play down there. So we're going to have to be ready for sure.
Unicoi at South Greene. The kickoff is next on 1420 WEMB Sports Radio and JetBroadcasting.live.